My name is Jamey Yurkonis. I've been going to CEFC for about 4 years now. Well, my parents were pastors as I was growing up, so I've always had Christ in my life. When I joined the military, I guess kind of went the opposite direction. I still had faith and I knew obviously about God, but I went and being a young man, you know, off by myself, I started drinking and all that kind of stuff and hanging out with people that weren't really the best for me. In 2007, I deployed to Afghanistan, and it's very tough when you go through combat. The things you see and you have to do and the choices you have to make really impact your faith and who you are. And I thought I was alone. I know my mom was praying for me, and I couldn't have made it through that deployment by myself. There's no way. After we lost a lot of guys, we lost 6 guys that died, and we had 18 wounded. And I walked out of that 12 months completely unscathed, physically anyway. Mentally, it was a little bit different. But going through an experience like that, it really, I guess it shook my beliefs. I didn't quite understand why we would have to go through something like that and see the things that we do. And when I came home, I was struggling with PTSD. It was really hard time, and I isolated myself because I felt I had become a monster. Some of the things that I had to do were completely normal to me while I was there, but once I came back here, of course, society here is completely different than a combat zone. And all that rage and anger and hatred that built up inside me was eating me up from the inside out. And it took me to a very dark place. I was drinking a lot. My marriage at that time too had really fallen on the rocks. I guess it was about 4 years ago. My mom, you know, she had always asked me to come back to church, but she kept pushing, and finally I said, okay, and you know, I showed up to CEFC during the Romans. You guys were talking through Romans 3. It was exactly what I needed to hear. You talked about grace and how even though I had to do things that are outside most people's understanding to survive, that God never abandoned me. That He was always there. Even when I thought I was completely alone and I was going through all of those struggles, the reason I made it is because He was always by my side. Just that realization and the fact that Christ died for my sins before I even committed them, that He already knew I was going to do it, or do what I had to do to survive. He already knew that that was going to happen, and He didn't judge me for it. He forgave me before I even started. So there was just an awakening in me that day. I cried through most of the sermon, and after I left, I went home, and it sank in even more, and I actually pulled the Bible out and I read those scriptures again. And probably my biggest test was that evening. My ex-wife, we had been separated, and she was living at her mom's house. She came down to visit her dog, and when she was there, she, you know, asked me what I had done that day, and I told her I had gone to church. And you know, she really came at me and said, God isn't going to forgive someone like you. I stopped, and I went up and I grabbed the Bible and I brought it down, and I sat down and I said, let me explain to you what I learned today. And I actually opened it and I read her those scriptures, and I explained what they meant. I said, this means that I am saved, that no matter what I've done, that I don't have to be that person. I can be something much better. That test just kind of pushed me past that point. And since then, I've been coming back here, and every week I absolutely look forward to it. And my fiance, Christina, started coming with me, and our kids, and we all just enjoy it. And I see God working every single day in my life, you know, in so many different aspects that I can't even put a lot of them into words, but I've had a complete turnaround. I don't drink anymore. Although I still struggle with PTSD, I've been a lot more open about it. And that awakening in me has helped not only me, but I share my story with other veterans, both Vietnam veterans and students that I have come through my schoolhouse. Guys who are also struggling, I share those scriptures with them. And I know a lot of people it's actually helped restore their faith too. So it's just been an amazing journey. I want to be baptized today because I already feel that awakening. You know, I already know what Christ has done for me. And I've already been baptized when I was younger, but I want to redo it because I think I'm a new person. I went through a period where I completely changed, and since that awakening, I've changed again. I just want to reaffirm or reconfirm for myself, you know, that I do live in Christ, or He lives inside of me. I just want that. For me, it's more symbolic. It shows that rebirth.